So, okay, then let's talk about it. We are
Let's do it.
talking. This is our very first episode of a new. Well, it's not really a new podcast, but it's a new episode. We'll say that. And the reason that it's not its own podcast right now is because when I signed up to host podcasts, the fee I thought was for multiple podcasts. You could start your next podcast. Apparently, that's an upgrade to the plan that I am on right now. So I don't want to shell out more money to do that. That's
Totally
fine.
understandable.
If this podcast goes off on its own, then maybe we'll do that. But right now, it's just going to be into the second season of the Pretty Little Death Productions. And yeah, the husband said the Princess Butthole was not a great production company name, so we're just going to go with TPLD.
I disagree. I think Princess Butthole is a perfect.
Princess Butthole Productions, come on.
Yeah,
Also, Shin said that definitely sounds like a porn production company.
it kind of does. I get
And
that, but
yeah. So yeah, this is our first episode of The Book Was Better, and we are tagging on to our most recent, also first episode of Ink and Asteroids. So what are we discussing? We're continuing our discussion on Starship Troopers.
I'm
All
doing
right.
my part.
I'm doing my part too. Okay, so as I told Smash in our episode, which was released before this one, I started Starship Troopers. Read the first chapter, and then I
Mhm.
stopped because I couldn't get into the second chapter. Dizzy was dead, and Dizzy was a dude, and I was in high school, so like I had been reading nothing but fantasy up until that point, and I knew the movie because it came out in 97 and
Yeah,
I was a kid, and it was a great movie. Apparently, I did some research after I finished reading. The
if I remember
movie
correctly, it had some
bombed.
controversy. Yeah,
Movie bombed.
it became a cult classic. Like,
Mhm.
God, what was it like? Almost 10 years later, I think.
Not even like it was the people who loved it to death.
Yeah. Okay, so it was kind
And
of like Boondock Saints.
right, and it kind of had the same kind of story as It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful
Yep.
Life was not a Christmas movie. It was a movie that did not do well when it was released, and come Christmas, everybody who would be at home would not be watching television, so it was a very cheap movie to put on daytime television during the
Mhm.
holiday season. So it became a Christmas movie because of that, and a beloved Christmas movie because everybody could expect it to be on television. I think that's what happened with Starship Troopers. People
Yeah,
expected
because
it to be on TV because, as you were just saying, it was on
it was on
TNT and
all the fucking time.
all the time. So,
USA, TNT, Sci-Fi
Sci-Fi
Channel,
Channel. Oh,
the Spike TV.
right.
Uh, there was I want to say it might have even been on like MTV late at night once.
Maybe. Yeah. Basically,
Everywhere. Yeah.
anything Viacom, um, it was there,
The,
and people fell in love with it because it's catch. I think
yeah.
so. Okay, I watched it immediately after reading. You said you didn't, but you remember it because it was a favorite movie, and you watched it so many
Absolutely.
times.
Yeah. It is probably in the top 5 movies that I've seen the most. Well behind my top 3. My top 3 will never be beaten. I've seen Dune so many times that I can't count. I've seen Boondock Saints more times than I've seen Dune, and then the next closest would be Blues Brothers, and I've seen that at least 150 times. So,
Once was enough for me, I will admit. Okay, so talking about the movie and the book. Uh, okay, so I don't even know where to start. They're not the same.
they it's if they would have been called different things, it wouldn't have shocked me. If it would have been like the movie was Starship Troopers and this is like something else,
Yeah,
like this that they could have been separate stories.
they really they
They
were.
are kind of,
They
yeah.
were. What Smash and I talked about was like how She was really interested in the sci-fi aspect of it. I was really hoping that I could get into it after having tried and then not succeeding. I didn't realize that book was almost 250 pages long.
Yeah, but like it's I most of the like I kind of the book kind of it was a letdown sort of. It
It
felt
was. It
it felt to
was.
me like it was less sci-fi and more of an attempt at like somebody trying to write a military fanfic.
Mm-hmm. We
And
kind
like
of said the same thing. Oh, I can't wait
it
for you to listen to this episode. It's
it,
so
it
good.
so it, so like for anyone who's listening to us right now, like I know nothing about the episode that Christina and Smash had. This is all I know is what we are talking about
Mm-hmm.
currently and what you're hearing from us, and like I, from my perspective, someone who was in the military, like he glances over. There's so many parts where like he gets so deep into the nitty gritty minutia and like the stupid, tedious, boring bullcrap, the bureaucracy that's in being in the military, and then he's like, "But I don't want to bore you with the details." It's like you just did for 40 freaking pages.
We said that there is so little sci-fi in this book that
Oh,
it
it's
should not constitute as sci-fi.
no, it should be military fiction.
It should futuristic military
Yeah.
fiction, and that every point of sci-fi that you would expect is not there, with the exception of aliens.
Yeah,
Like there's
the bugs are
mm-hmm,
the only thing, and then like the fact that they use mini nukes and they have the
right,
suits
right.
and like the drop ships and like literally all they talk about is like the amount of G's from a drop ship can snap a man's neck, blah 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 blah. It's like
Mm-hmm.
okay, like tell me something cool about like a warp drive or a hyperspace or a jump gate or
They
like
do talk
some
about he does.
they for this long.
That's true. That's so true. That is, yeah. He does talk about this. It's what is it? It's not warp, but it is a kind of like light speed type thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like a flux jump or
there you
something
go,
like
the
that.
flux jump. That's what it is. You know what I was really interested once I read the book, and my husband decided he was going to put the movie on. I begged him to turn on the subtitles because, of course, my hearing is dodgy AF. Uh, but I wanted in particular to see if I could pinpoint the characters because I knew some of them were in the movie
Hmm.
and I wanted to know who they were because the only characters you really hear about in the movie are the ones that stick around for quite a while. So Royce, you obviously find out about Johnny Rico, about Carmen Ibanez, Carl, Dizzy, and then Ace and Zim.
Hmm.
Everybody else is kind of just glossed over, mentioned maybe once.
Oh, and his teacher. His
Rorschach.
teacher. Yeah,
Rorschach.
his teacher wasn't Rorschach.
In the movie?
Oh, in the movie he was, yeah, but in
Yeah,
the book he wasn't.
right.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. They
Oh
combined those
wow.
characters, Rorschach and Mr. Dubois. They combined those characters for the film. But in the
Hmm.
film, you also see Shizumi. Kitten is there.
Okay.
Of course, Breckenridge. I think he's called
Yeah.
Breckenridge in the book as well. Um, Jelly is not there.
Hmm.
But I think there is a character who's meant to be Jelly. And then, yeah. And then other names are put onto new people. So, Royce is a combination of Mr. Dubois as well as Mr. Royce. You
Yeah.
good?
Yeah. No, I thought I heard somebody at my gate. I was
Oh,
like, what the
okay.
heck?
Um, those are combination. Ace is a younger guy that goes through basic with Johnny.
Hmm.
Dizzy is a guy who gets turned into a love interest for Johnny.
Hmm.
Kitten is the guy in the shower who's like, I want to be a writer, so a writer's got the right to ask. And he's killed on K
Yeah.
during the Battle of K, that very first scene in the movie. Ace is the young guy. I already said that. Shizumi is the the Asian guy in the shower scene that says, I got into Harvard, but my father said he wasn't going to pay for it, so I'm going to let the Federation pay my way." And in the book, he's a general's son with like a
Mm-hmm.
black belt, and he actually teaches them hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah,
And it was just
he's the
like
only person who can land punches
on
on
Zim.
Zim. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like there were so many things that they tried to include and didn't at the same time. And Smash said something during our episode, or maybe it was afterwards. It might have been afterwards when I was talking to her about it yesterday. That the director slash writer of the movie admitted to only reading like the first 2 or 3 chapters.
Okay. Interesting. That I can see
Got the
that.
basic idea of what was going on and then went from there.
Yeah,
Um,
like yeah, it was there was a lot. There was a lot that was different in not different in a good way. I think that what they did with cuz like the book it felt like the book was trying to take itself seriously throughout
mm-hmm.
most of it,
Yeah.
but like the movie did not. The movie very much was like we're going to make this like all like borderline making fun of a military propaganda film.
And that was the point. So the director and the writer, which were a team, I think it
Hmm.
was, they are not they're not American. They grew up in Europe. And they grew up in Europe towards the end of the Second World War or something like that,
Okay.
or they were brought up around people who survived the Second World War.
Yeah, yeah. No, it had a big impact on their
Big
lives.
impact, and his whole point, the director's in particular, whole point was that we want to make fun of the propaganda machine that was employed during World War II.
You're a cat.
Oh, okay. So everybody who the reason that there was so much controversy during the release of the film was because it was very heavy, evident propaganda on on the military and very fascist, and that I don't think was the purpose of the book. Like we
Well,
discussed it, that it was more like this is what the youth of today should be striving for, is some kind of not like
the book
go
the
ahead, go
book
ahead.
was like like there's some fascisty stuff in it,
Mm-hmm.
but like it was more of like trying to prove a like how the world would be a better place in a perfect military utopia.
Right. And it forced that military history in a grandized kind of way
Hmm.
that I don't know if that was the purpose, but it was most definitely, like, we had decided yesterday on Sunday that this was definitely a self-inserted fantasy of the author.
Absolutely. This
So hard.
if hold on, let's see. I'm just gonna see the author's name. I've forgotten already.
Robert
Robert Heinlein.
Heinlein, yeah.
I if he like if he was in the military,
He was.
I would be okay. I so hold on. No, so I know nothing about him.
Mm-hmm.
I know his name now. I just pulled up the Starship Troopers wiki page. I haven't clicked on his name or anything like that. But like I said, if he was in the military, you say that he was. I would say he had to have been Army infantry, most likely. Um, because of the way that he shits on the Navy. He doesn't mention the Marine Corps, and there's nothing to do with the Air Force. So I
This
would say he
all
was,
tracks. This all tracks.
and I would say that he was enlisted. He wasn't an officer. He was not a career enlistee. He probably made it either to corporal or maybe sergeant. So like E4, E5, like lower middle NCO. Um, but if he got discharged early, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he did 4 years.
Okay, so yeah, he was an E4 probably. He
Mm-hmm.
was probably a corporal.
Yeah.
which is why he makes corporals such a big deal in it. Because like when I was like, why are they all corporals? That doesn't
They're
make any
all
sense.
corporals, and some of them don't want to be any more than corporals. And yeah,
Yeah.
it. What? Okay, so
He's
one of
trying to
the
make the E4
things.
mafia is what he's doing. That's a
Right?
term. That's an actual term.
No,
So for
I
anybody
know.
who
That's why I'm giggling.
yeah, for anybody who doesn't understand who's listening to this, that the E4 Mafia is like so in the military. There's rankings for enlisted officers. Enlisted is E, officers is
Hmm.
O.
Hmm.
E1, 2, 3, 4. So E1 is private, then private first class, then specialist, then I think then it's corporal,
There's two. There's two.
lance corporal, and corporal.
When I
Um,
did the delayed entry, there was two. It was either private or private first class. There were two different. They weren't really because I went up from private private first class, but I had bumped two ranks before I even got to basic, which I admitted I've never been to basic. My contract got pulled because I was still a minor, but I had gotten up two ranks. Um,
so Army is E1 is private,
yeah.
E2 is private,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
E3 is PFC,
Yep, that's the one.
E4 is corporal or specialist, E5 is sergeant. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. He was an E4.
Yeah.
4 years, made E4, and he's
Yep.
like, corporals are the best. Being a sergeant's for losers. And it's like
Right.
E4 mafia. It makes sense because
Yep.
you don't want to be above. You don't want to be above sergeant because that's when you have too much responsibility, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be below corporal because that's when you get all the bullshit.
Exactly. So yeah, I knew I. It has been a very long time. It has been 20 years, 21 years since I was in the delayed entry program. So I'm glad I
It,
remembered that there was two privates in there. Um,
yeah, it's been like I could do the Navy easy, but it's been 14 years since I've given a shit about any of this stuff.
right, right, yeah. Um, so it's yeah, he did 4 years. I think it was the army, and he shits on. I know we talked about this how it's not opposed to the movie where it's mobile infantry versus fleet. It's army versus navy. Um,
Oh, he went to the Naval Academy.
did he? Was it? I thought I read he only did 4 years then.
He was an aeronautical engineer at the Naval Academy from the Naval Academy. He was in the Navy.
Okay,
Um,
I must
with the
have read
equivalent of a
some bad
he ranked
information then.
fifth in his class academically, but with a class standing of 20th, due to disciplinary demerits. He was an ensign shortly after his graduation. He advanced to lieutenant junior grade in 31 while serving aboard the Lexington, where he worked in radio. Uh, blah blah
I did
blah.
not go to the
Last
wiki
served.
because the wiki usually has bad information on it. So I was actually looking on something else that apparently is 4chan related because it has to do with sci-fi.
He was a gunnery officer, reaching the rank of lieutenant. So yeah, he made lieutenant, so 03. He double bars, so captain for anyone who's Army, Air Force, or Marine Corps out there. Yeah, so he served from 1931 to 1934.
Oh, so yeah,
So
4 years. 3 years? 4 years?
well, so yeah, so he went in 1929. He graduated. So 1929 to 1931 is what it would, or 1934. So 5 years
5 years.
total.
Okay.
That makes sense because he would have done 4 in college, 5 as an
Mm-hmm.
officer, and then so possibly 6 as an officer. So,
Okay.
but well,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, he's
He knows what
I
he's
was
talking
wrong.
about then.
Yeah,
But
I
for some
mean,
reason,
well,
why is he shitting on the Navy so much in his writing? It seems odd. Maybe he really did
because
not like the Navy.
he probably didn't. He probably felt like so. There's this thing with like Navy people. There's one of two types of Navy people. There's me, who's like, hey, my branch was better because we are.
Mm.
And then there's everybody, and then there's like the other branch of people that are kind of like they went into the Navy and they feel like they didn't do enough, so they're kind of like envious of the Marine Corps and the Army. They're like, man, I feel like my service was wasted, and it's like, no, you were just a loser. Um, I can say
Oh my
these things,
gosh.
people. Come at me in the comments section. I dare you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I mean, all of that tracks. That all tracks really hard. So let's talk about the movie then, because There is so much military history in the book that they did not add any of that in the film. In fact, the couple of instances where we do talk about military history, they change some things. So, like in the book, the history lesson that we come into in the film, Johnny's in class in Mr. Royschek's class. In the book, it's Mr. Dubois' class. And instead of Hiroshima, that the film mentions, it's actually Carthage that they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for those who don't know, Carthage is a city of antiquity that was sacked. It was sacked horribly a couple of times. And those theater buffs will know the name of Carthage because it's mentioned in Interview with, they're not, I'm sorry, it's mentioned in Phantom of the Opera. It's the opera that they are putting on when the benefactors come in and meet the whole cast for the very first time. Carthage is Hannibal, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
It's a well known. I wouldn't say it's really well documented because all we have are our historical texts are based on written accounts of verbal recollections of people who say they survived Carthage. It's not first person accounts. So they're discussing Carthage in the book and in the film. I think they changed it though because nobody, like the layman, does not know about Carthage. It's not something that just anybody walking in on a movie is gonna know what the hell that is. So why not switch it to Hiroshima? The lines are almost exactly the same though. The whole conversation in the book and in the film in that scene is almost identical.
Yeah.
I could tell you are totally zoned out on reading that wiki article.
I'm learning things about him that I'm like, that's interesting. I'm closing it now.
You could get drawn into it. I'm going to start looking into him myself now because I did like I said, a very cursory glance on a.
I found the reason he got out was because he developed pulmonary tuberculosis, and then he went on to develop I think he helped with the development of the waterbed while he was laid up. He received a small pension from the Navy for that. He ran for the California State Assembly at one point as a left-wing Democrat.
That is surprising.
Yeah.
Considering.
But also 1930s Democrat. 1930s.
Okay,
Democrat.
that's different. That's really different. Let's get into that, okay? The politics of the book are fascist leaning.
One might say extremely conservative, yes.
Fascist leaning. I am going to stick with that. And in the movie, they try and highlight that without shoving the politics down your throat about it. Obviously, yes. Civilians don't have the vote. You have to serve to get your vote, which they finally explain in the book way at the end.
Damn near the very end.
Very end of the book, like how that came about. It's not really pertinent to the film because it's just not. It doesn't. We get it. Like you have to, if you want to be a citizen, you have to serve. Okay, that's the impetus for everybody joining. But the joining scene, Johnny is. Go ahead.
Did you feel like that? The book was written there was no flow to the book. Mm-mm. It was so sporadic. Mm-hmm. It was remembered like when your aunt is trying to tell one of those family stories at a family reunion, and she starts telling part of the story, and then she's like goes on a tangent, and then it's like, oh yeah, and then she talks about the story a little bit, and then she goes on a tangent, and then she's like, it's so back and forth, and it's like, wait, hold on, where are we in this?
Yeah,
why didn't we start with hey, we live in a time where franchise, citizenship, military, all of these different things, and then get into the story of Johnny Rico.
But we don't even really get the story of Johnny Rico. What we said was that this was like him writing down how we got from that last class of history, to the moment that he's now in charge of the Roughnecks. He was just like this, again, like a family story. It was just like a recollection of, okay, here's all the high points that I have hit to get from there to here.
It was the first draft. You know what it was? It was the first draft of an after-action report about his career.
I hadn't thought about that. I thought it was like him writing down like a journal entry.
It feels and like because that's usually what happens is like you throw in so much stuff and then somebody goes and they're like, "Fucking cut the bullshit! Like we don't need all the fluff. Like take it out of there. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what pants you were wearing that day, George."
We were talking about how like Johnny does not have a single thought in his head.
No, he is a perfect soldier.
Perfect.
He's honestly he could have been on the side of the bugs. He's a brain dead drone.
Yeah. He doesn't have a single thought in his head in the text, with the exception of, I don't want to fuck this up, and oh my god, are there girls here?
Yeah, and also like I need to keep an eye out for my friends. He's very much got the backs of the other people that he serves with.
Yes, which,
like he has loyalty, the same as the bugs.
Yep.
A desire, or I mean, I guess lack of ability not to worry about anything other than serving the cause, like the bugs, and well, girls.
And we were what struck me the hardest was that in the film, Johnny finishes the football game, goes home to get dressed for the dance because the next day is supposedly graduation. And he's already made up his mind. He's going to sign up.
Yep. That's not the book.
Johnny doesn't know one way or the other at the end of that class. He doesn't even talk to Mr. Dubois about joining up as he leaves the class.
If I remember correctly, he doesn't even... He didn't play sport. There was no sport.
He was a track star.
That's what it was.
He was a track star. He leaves the class. Carl's like, no, I have to join. You know, Johnny's from a very privileged family.
Rich. Yes.
Rich Filipino family in the book.
Portuguese.
No, he's Filipino.
No, because they're Brazil.
In the movie.
In the book, too.
No.
Really?
Johnny straight up says in the book, I feel for Buenos Aires, but it's not my hometown.
Oh, you're... Okay,
He's Filipino.
I glanced over that, I guess.
His mother traveled to Buenos Aires for vacation because she was distraught that he had gone.
Okay.
And she died. That's another big
Aires,
thing.
When the bugs, yeah.
Yep. Johnny's father and mother are not in Buenos Aires. Johnny's father is back home taking care of their textile business or something like that.
Yeah,
the business. Yeah,
his
the family
business. Dad was supposed to go with mom to it, but then got called at the last second. And
something came up and couldn't make it, so mom went by.
And he was supposed to fly out the next morning.
And Buenos Aires got hit.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's one of those things that like it's a good change for the film.
Yeah.
Because it makes Johnny want to stay, which is not a thing that happens in the book. Johnny joins on accident in the book. And he is focused in the film because it was going to be an action film. Like they were going to pump up the sci-fi in the film where it wasn't pumped up in the book at all.
Yeah, he intended to go there, find out what he would qualify for, and not join.
No. He intended to go there and tell Carl, I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh, and then he wound up just doing it.
He ran up doing it because Carmen showed up and was like, hey guys, are you joining? And Carl was like, yeah, I'm doing it. That's
what it was.
And Johnny was like, yeah, I'm joining too. And he was like, I can't believe I just said that.
But in his head, the whole time he was going through it, though, he had the idea that like I can still back out of this.
Right.
And then when they got the opportunity for leave, or like the in between after they made it through all the stuff, the grace period, then he's like I'm not gonna do it. And then when he went home and he kind of like explained it, and his dad was like, hey, listen, you're fucking better than this. Like we're rich.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck that. And then he went and did exactly what every teenage boy does.
Yep. spits in Daddy's eye. And I think that's why the ending in the book is the way it is. It's like one of those things where every teenage boy tries to make it out on his own, and he wants that respect of his father and a reconciliation where is respecting your choices, and that's what the ending of the book is Johnny's dad is respecting his choices because now Johnny's dad is also in the military and serving under his son,
being a forever corporal.
Yep. Which, okay, in the book it is stated that field promotions are not a thing. Yet every single promotion Johnny has gotten has been in the field, with the exception of going in through the officer training.
Yep.
And it's the exact opposite in the film. Like, Johnny is not smart. He's not really overly courageous either.
Nope. He's a pretty fucking average soldier.
No reason for him to have been promoted as much as he, and even more so in the film.
He's a right place, right time guy. That's all it is. Like in both the book and the movie, he is a right place, right time guy. He just happens to be the warm body that is standing there when there needs to be a warm body. They're like, fucking warm body, take over. And he's like, okay.
I have to say that because the text makes it a point to say that there are not a lot of troopers, of cap troopers in particular. That's what they don't call them necessarily, mobile infantry. They call them cap troopers. They get shot out of the ship. They go down and do their job for a couple of hours, and then they get picked back up. They made it a point in the text to say that there are not a lot of cap troopers, which is why, like, and because they are all volunteers.
Yes.
There's like 15,000 total for cap troopers, and not ancillary troops. Those are just cap troopers, people willing to get shot out of ships.
Yep. Capsules.
And they're not. That's not counting the Echo Dogs, which I think are glossed over. I thought that was one of the coolest aspects of the text. That
was the most sci-fi sounding thing out of the entire fucking
right?
book. And they're just like, oh, and then there's these dudes that have a psychic connection to talking dogs, by the way. And it's like, tell me more about these fucking talking dogs.
Or
like, oh, hey, this guy who was connected to one of his dogs when his dog died, like, they basically had to, like, reprogram his brain. What? Tell me more about this.
Like, and oh, Johnny, you failed out of having, and that was the one he wanted. If he couldn't go and be what was his first
pilot?
Choice? His first choice was pilot because that's where Carmen was going, but he knew he wasn't going to get that because his math was shit. And then he was like, oh, I'd really like to work on the Echo teams. And
they were like, nope.
The guy who was doing his assessment was like, did you have a dog growing up? And he was like, yeah. He's like, did your dog ever get to sleep on your bed? And he was like, no, my mom wouldn't let me do that. And he's like, well, where was your dog kept? Outside, because my mom was allergic. And he was like, you're not fit enough to have that kind of bond with a talking dog. And he was like, why? And the guy explained it to him. It was just like, because you are sharing one mind. If you die, your dog will kill itself to be with you. And if your dog dies, then you will go slightly insane until we can reprogram you. And the fact that you didn't even let your childhood dog sleep on your bed makes me think that you are not a good partner for a dog with that kind of emotional tie. So you're not qualified. And Johnny was like, oh, okay, well, what does that leave me with? And he's like, infantry. You're going to be a cap trooper. And Johnny was like...
He volunteered for the cap troopers specifically.
Was it? I don't remember that. But I just got stuck on the Echo Dogs. I was like, I wanted him to do the Echo Dogs.
Because basically when he volunteered for cap trooper, that's when they were super excited for him. They were like, fucking A, hell yeah, like, we like you now. Before you were just a spoiled rich kid that we didn't want. And then, like, dude who had the missing arm and the leg that was in the
Yeah.
full uniform that was doing their run-in. He saw him afterwards. He's like, "Oh, what'd you finally get?" And he's like, "Cap Trooper." And he's like, "Good for you, son. We need more men like you." Whereas
Yep.
before he was a complete dick to him.
Yeah. Okay. So since we're talking about that scene in the film as well as in the book, let's talk about Carl.
Okay.
Okay. So this is like Neil Patrick Harris's first big role after Doogie Howser. I think he's like maybe 21 in the
I was
film.
gonna say like somewhere between 20 and 23.
Yeah, he is
He's young.
Young. And because it's Neil Patrick Harris and he is one of the few big names in this film, they make Carl so much cooler in the movie than he is in the... Carl has a lab in his shitty house in the basement where he just fixes computers and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Johnny tinkers with him because Johnny
hands him the tools.
Right, that's exactly what Johnny says. I can't tell you what is what, but if Carl tells me to hand him a screwdriver, I at least know what screwdriver to hand him. That does benefit Johnny later, but Carl's not psychic. He's not a genius. He's not. There's nothing really to commend him. He's smart. He's very smart. He's just not. He's not from money. So.
No. He's a poor kid.
He's a poor kid, and he joins the service because he doesn't want to be a poor kid. He wants to see the universe, and he wants to do his part, and he wants to make something better for himself. Because if you survive your term of service, which is only 2 years...
2 years, you get your franchise.
You get your franchise, which means you get a stipend every month. You get house allotment. You don't just get the prestige of being a veteran, but there is other benefits to it. You won't go hungry. You won't live in the shitty part of town, etc. Mm-hmm. And that is his reasoning for doing this.
Yeah.
Johnny doesn't give two shits. He's thinking about the fact that, it is just probably better and easier for him to go on and take over the family business.
Yeah.
But that's not Carl and Johnny in the film.
Nope.
Carl is a psychic, which, aside from the Echo Dogs, we hear nothing about psychics until
Carl
the
is
very
end. Not only is he a psychic, but he's like a savant.
Right.
In the psychics. He's like insanely brilliant. He masters the psychic abilities almost immediately, gets promoted to officer's corps almost immediately, gets put into a high-ranking, commanding...
He becomes a colonel in the film.
Almost immediately. And then he not only that, but he becomes one of the most prevalent figures in that community. Whereas in the book, he's a side note, a cliff note. It's
yeah,
they talk about him a bit here and there, but for the ultimately what it comes down to is it's me and my buddy Carl joined at the same time and we went 2 different paths.
Yeah, he became a grease monkey.
He fixes things and I joined the infantry.
Yep. And so then the other person in the trio of that scene is Carmen. Carmen is the pretty popular girl at school who, and I quote from the text, dates a guy once and then never again. She's really nice, she's really pretty, and she's really smart. And Johnny has a thing for her.
Yeah.
That's it.
They hook up in the book too.
They have a date. They don't hook up.
He makes it sound like it's more, which is funny.
That's not how I read that.
That's how I read that. Because that is the same verbiage that every fucking dude that I know in the military talks about when they dated me and so on the fucking boat, we blah 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 blah. It's oh fucking hey, right on, dude. Fucking.
That's not how I read that. See, remember when we were talking in the last Pretty Little Death book club, how the gaze? What gaze is this written for? This was not written for the female gaze because I did not get that. I got that she asked the only second time we see her in the entirety of the book. She shows up at the officers' training, requests, because she outranks him and the guy that he's studying under, requests his presence for dinner. They sit and reminisce, and that's how he hears that Carl has died. That he died in an attack on Pluto.
Yep.
And that she cut off all of her hair. She is bald as
she shaved
him.
Shaved her head.
Yep, because hair matters in zero G's as a pilot. And she is a pilot. Like, she's not a captain yet, but she is on her way. She does fly a crate, but yeah.
It doesn't matter in zero G.
It doesn't.
You're wearing a helmet. You're wearing a goddamn helmet with interlinked comms built into it. Look, if we're flying through space, we're not using less advanced tech than we use in goddamn jets.
You think that she's wearing a helmet in that huge crate?
100%. I think that if they were behind that, they would have a comms link. Like we had like what I'm wearing right now, this type of headset, the head type of headset you're wearing. We wore these in fucking sonar. They wore them on the bridge of our ship. They wore them in engineering. They wore them in all of the major space. Not this exact style, but very similar to it. Big earphones here with a microphone, and like this was your comms piece, and everybody was connected through a different link. And like pilots, specifically pilots, wear things like this, and like if you see them put on, like in Top Gun when they put on their mask like this, it's so that they can communicate better while they're bringing in oxygen, but they can still communicate when it's down.
Right.
There's no way that they're not going to have a flight cap on.
Right.
Like you're going to be in a burn suit, you're going to be in a flight cap, you're going to be in you're going to have a mask, like the whole 9 yards. We're not going to go like back to 1919, like biplane status. It's like, here's your leather hat and go fly against the Kaiser there, boys. It's not that kind of situation.
We did surmise that he probably served during the Korean War excursion.
He was pre-World War II. He was 1930s, so he was in like the in-betweens.
In the 1930s, you said... Well, this was published in 59.
So he served till...
I thought you said 54.
34.
34. Oh, so
yeah.
he was in age.
In 1934, Heinlein was discharged from the Navy from pulmonary tuberculosis.
Okay. Oh, that is the high age of tuberculosis. That's fair. Okay, so yeah, post first.
Post 1, pre 2. So during the lead up to 2.
Yeah. And then he missed Korea altogether. And this is pre-Vietnam. So
that's why he wrote it the way he wrote it. That's why he sucked the Army's dick so much.
You think so?
Because he missed all the action.
I didn't think about that. See, okay. I'm not good with numbers. As a history person, I am not great with numbers. So you saying that, like, that makes a lot of sense. I am red in the face because I'm so embarrassed that I didn't think about that. Yeah. Okay.
So remember, the U.S. formally entered World War II in 1941.
Right.
All of the shit that was happening overseas started happening in the like early 30s.
Okay.
So like he would have got there. I think when did Hitler seized control year? I should know these things. I literally have read so many books. 1933 is when he became Chancellor of Germany. So when Hitler became Chancellor was in 33. So his full-blown shenaniganery. August 2nd, 1934, Hitler used this to combine the office of Chancellor with the presidency to make the new title. So he became Führer after or around the same time that Heinlein got out of the military.
Oh.
So he missed all of it.
Do you think this was then a guilt piece?
Possibly. But also you have to take into consideration that, like, one of the like kind of dirty little secrets of a lot of people back then is that like a lot of Americans, especially like fairly conservative Americans that were patriotic citizens, were fans of him.
Oh yeah, no. That's not a dirty little secret. That is well established in history.
It is well established, but people do not like talking about it.
That's true.
That's what I mean when I say dirty little secret. It's like. It's like we all know that, like, your aunt fucking, had a husband
Right.
before, but like we
Right.
just don't talk about it because like,
Right.
the family.
Yeah.
It'll
Okay.
make grandmama upset.
So we've reached definitely more than halfway in this podcast.
All right.
So I'm going to start asking some questions. But were there any other points in the film that you um, think that we need to talk about before we head into the questions?
Don't think so.
I think we hit a lot of the major points.
Yeah.
The fact that there's no suits, there's no eggs, that they are talking about hydrogen bombs instead of mini nukes.
Yeah.
And the hydrogen bomb. This was my biggest gripe. When you go and listen to A&E or I&A, you'll hear it like, what is it with the mini hydrogen bombs being used like grenades?
That was so H-bombs.
Weird.
It's interesting. Well, I know why they used nukes, because like this was written in the 50s. Nukes
Right.
had just been like become a
Right.
thing, and I believe the first H-bomb didn't get tested until the mid 50s or possibly the late 50s.
Well, that's not true because we dropped it on Hiroshima.
That was not an H-bomb. That was an A-bomb.
Was it? I thought it was a
an A-bomb.
hydrogen bomb.
No.
Okay.
I'm like 99% certain on that.
Okay.
Uh,
As we both furiously go look in our research.
Because so the U.S. dropping the first airborne hydrogen bomb was in 1956 over the Pacific Bikini Atoll.
Bikini Atoll, yeah.
So we've never used one in a combat situation.
Okay, so it was new technology that was the newest of the technologies that he mentioned in the text. Okay,
Yes.
All right. So, well then, that is my correction, and hopefully those who listened to the previous episode will accept my apologies.
And you know what? The only reason I know this is my dad. So on the History Channel, there was the nuclear bomb movie that came out way back. If your parents watched the History Channel, you've seen the nuclear bomb movie 1,000 times. My dad watched it every time it came on. My dad made me program the VCR so that I could record it onto VHS tape. Yes, I'm dating myself. My dad bought it on VHS tape later so that he had the full with the director's commentary. And like, he can quote that movie. So I know about like the Tsar Bomba, the H bomb, the A bomb, all the Fat Man and Little Boy, the different bombs, the Enola Gay, all of the dropping of it. Like whether it was a nuclear fission bomb, which is what they were because they weren't fusion, because fusion's still not really a thing. But it was a cold fission bomb.
Right.
It was not cold fission. It was just a nuclear fission bomb. But all of that stuff. So that's the only reason I know. Like this is my wheelhouse right here. This is my comfort zone, is military history.
So the reason I got into history as my step grandfather served on the USS Kitty Hawk during Korea.
Oh, nice.
And he too was a History Channel when History Channel only showed World War II history documentaries. That's all he would have on when we were over. And that's when I learned that my birthday had some significance. And that's what got me into history, was learning that my birthday had something to do with World War II. And it's a big day. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want you guys to know my birthday is. You know what my birthday is because yours is after mine. The day after mine.
Yeah. Yep. It is
a significant day for the U.S.
Quite possibly. It is one of the top 5 most important days in, I would say, U.S. military history.
Exactly.
Not related to the Civil War.
Exactly. So, like, that's what got me into history, is, like, when I heard that my birthday was important, I would sit and just watch. But I was young, so I wasn't really absorbing anything. But that's what got me into history, and I will admit that even though World War II was what got me into history, it's not my focus in history, and I do apologize. Okay, so there were no suits, there were no eggs, there were no Skinnies.
Nope.
And
when they mentioned Skinnies, I was like, "What the fuck is this? I don't remember Skinnies."
I still don't even know what the hell the Skinnies were. Just
all I know is that they
people?
created a lot of fucking chaos on their planet. That's all I know.
Like, these poor people didn't have anything to do with the conflict at hand, and they were just getting fucked with.
And they were like,
by
"Hey, we're just gonna drop these guys in,
civilizations.
throw some nukes at you, shoot a bunch of shit, burn some stuff down, destroy your comms, and completely ruin all of your infrastructure, and then leave."
Because
Bye.
the arachnids might have a purpose for you. It was just like, Wow. We haven't really changed that much, have we?
The
Um,
only yeah, well, we'll keep going. We'll so question time.
yes, okay.
Otherwise, we're gonna do this for
Forever.
weeks.
Okay, so how
There will
close
be a post show. There will.
there will be a post show. How close would you this now I just made these up. We can change them as we
Oh,
continue with this particular episode
I
series. How close would you say the movie was to the book?
almost word for word exactly the same.
The
I'm being
sarcasm.
completely sarcastic. There,
Okay, but
we said it.
wait,
We
wait.
said it.
Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
We said it at the beginning. They could have like these could have been two completely different things. If they would have put
Mhm.
at the beginning of the movie like this is loosely based on Robert Heinlein Starship Troopers, I would have been like, oh okay.
Okay.
And it's like yeah, loosely like they have similar named characters and the same title. That's it.
There are some lines that are exactly the same.
Okay, yeah,
But
but
there's also changes in some lines that I actually enjoyed. So in the book is everyone fights, everyone works in the Roughnecks,
yep,
and instead in the film it's everyone fights, no one quits, which I like
yeah,
better. I actually like
I do
that
too.
better. I think that was a good change.
I think that the people who wrote the script for Starship Troopers did a better job than the guy who wrote the book.
Right, right, okay. Um, we also had a lot of scenes that were either combined or shifted to tell a better story, I would say. Like all of the training. We totally missed out on the guy who did get washed out because he decided to hit an officer,
Well,
a higher
he hit an
ranking.
he hit a corporal.
He hit an
To be fair,
instructor,
yep.
which was
He punched an E4, and you know what? Honestly, anyone out there who has been in the military, who hasn't? Who hasn't punched an E4? We've all done it at least once.
but I
Anyone who
don't
was in the
count.
military is what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
count because, like I admitted in the last episode, I don't have a jacket. You know,
I can tell you the name of at least 3 people that I slapped the piss out of. So, I
I knew a
won't.
Navyman who was on leave and on his way back to the ship, pissed drunk, jumped on a Marine's back. Even though he was higher, the Marine was lower ranking, but somebody else saw it, a sergeant or something saw it. Guy got in so much fucking trouble. Not only because he was
Tracks.
in uniform and drunk, but also because he decided to assault a fellow Navyman.
Yeah,
I was
that
like, what the
tracks.
fuck? Okay, so what did the movie show better than what was described in the book?
Everything.
Really?
I think that
I think there were
it
details in
showed.
the book that should have been in the film.
I also think that, but I think that the book um, made everything more relatable.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, not the book. The movie made everything more
Okay.
relatable.
Okay. Okay.
It made it so that it was more easily consumed because what it did was it wrote it for the general audience. Where what I
Mm,
feel like Heinlein was doing was he wrote that book, like you said, not for the female gaze,
mm-mm.
but for the male gaze, and specifically he was going after young patriotic boys who had the idea of possibly wanting to join the military. But he wrote that book with underlying tones for veterans,
Okay.
is what I feel like.
Especially the
I
end.
he had a
It was very apparent in the end. Like the veterans
he,
remade the world. Pol- uh,
better,
yeah, better, better.
which
Um,
I mean, 100%. I man, I know some veterans.
I was talking to Smash about this. Like, I liked the idea that that the basically after the last biggest inter country conflict happened and the world was just basically in shambles, and the veterans of foreign wars before that particular conflict came up and was like, nope, we're going to take over. This is how we have obviously sacrificed for the greater good. We can continue doing that, and anybody who shows that they can sacrifice for the greater good can then have a say. I did like that because I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but humans are greedy fucks. and we
Yeah,
don't
100%.
always think outside of ourselves.
However, I will say this about veterans. Some veterans really think that they are hotter shit than they actually are. And I will give a perfect example. I can get canceled for, you know what? I'll stay out of politics, but I will say, look at some people in our current administration.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. I understand. I totally understand.
His, yeah, he,
Yeah.
that guy is one of those people that like, they were like, oh, like you have this great military career, and like if you really look at his military career, yeah, he's done some stuff, but it's like, he is, he is Robert Heinlein. He is
He is
fanficked up his fucking life.
Robert Heinlein, or is he Johnny Rico?
He wants to be Johnny Rico.
Okay. I mean, I kind of feel like he is Johnny Rico. Look at where he's at. That was not an active choice. Johnny Rico does not make an act. Remember when we were talking about your writing? How are you writing
Yeah.
active choices or passive choices? Johnny Rico does not have an active choice.
No.
He does not make a single active choice. And in fact, after he gets his licks, I feel like he turned off his brain altogether. More so than it already was. Like, he does not take real initiative. He checks in every single fucking step of the way, which I also know irritates people in the military. Like, procedure is a thing. Procedure is a thing specifically in infantry type units. Procedure. In particular with Marines, it's all procedure. Procedure. Not necessarily orders.
Kills.
Right, procedure. Johnny is so procedural that in the Army, he'd get his fucking nuts kicked in every day because he'd stop to ask if he could take a breath. Mm-hmm. Especially towards the end. Okay, we could go on about that. All right,
Absolutely.
So what plot point was missed in either versions?
I think that they both touched on different plot points. They touched on similar plot points throughout it, but they both touched on different enough stuff because they came at it from different perspectives. One was 100% like I'm doing my part, honestly, but like the portrayal of that sort of over patriotism that there was in the movie is what they were going for in the book. Okay. Whereas they were making fun of it in the movie. So like they touched on different things just from a different perspective, and it sort of, I don't really have a specific plot point that was missed.
Okay.
For either of them personally, because I think that they both came at it from because they're so widely different. Like it's hard to find a plot because they're so separate in my head now, because now that I've read it and I can look through everything that I've read in my head now, and I'm like, man, no, it's not in the same universe. It's
not.
It is. It is Batman's. I mean, I can't even go Batman 66 versus Christian Bale Batman.
Yeah. Those are two different things. One's a comedy and one's.
Yeah, but even those are more closely related than this is. It's the difference between honestly, it's the difference between Justice League and the Watchmen.
Okay. Same, but not.
Yeah, they're both about crime fighting,
and they're both about teams,
and they both have vigilantes, and some of them have powers and some of them don't.
Yep.
But they're not the same thing at all.
Not the same thing.
One has grit to it, and one is kind of campy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I will also point out, and I thought about this a while ago when we first started talking about doing these kind of episodes for the podcast. The asteroid from Planet K, from Klendathu. And now, let's remind everybody, there are two particular planets in the film and in the text that they reference dropping cap troopers on, which they only mention once, by the way. They only call them cap troopers once, and I only saw it, or heard it, because I saw it in the subtitles, and it's during that initial scene from when you open up and they're on Clendathru when the reporter is there. He's like, the Cap Troopers here it's an ugly planet. It's a bug planet. Cap Troopers are everywhere. That's the only time you hear Cap Troopers. And I thought that was pretty interesting considering there's no capsules for them to be Cap Troopers, the eggs.
So I don't remember. Do they, in the movie, address why Clendathu is an ugly bug planet the way that it is?
It's the home planet of the arachnids.
But in the book, that's not why it looks the way that it does.
No. So it's in the book.
The book, it's because they bombed it to oblivion, and the bugs.
They tried to glass it. They tried to glass it, and they were unable to. But also the other thing is the bugs. They're all burrowing. They burrowed under, which is why they were not able to eradicate. And I don't think they actually did it to Clendathu. I think they did it to another planet, and that's how they figured out that they could burrow.
Okay.
But Clendathu, they don't really describe in the book too much.
No.
Planet P, which I don't remember what the name is where the last battle in both the book and the film is. And it has volcanoes everywhere. There are hot spots where radiation, and it's not even like a volcano like we would think of, it's irradiated volcanoes because there are hot spots, and they can go what was it was like flare red, and that's basically like a signifier to how hot that zone is, and a Cap Trooper in his suit can only survive for like maybe a minute basically to get in and has to get out again. They can't even survive a minute in and those suits are able to absorb a lot of radiation because they're handling atomic weapons. They're no, they didn't really describe it in the book. Honestly, the most description that we get of the planets is Planet P and the planet that the Skinnies are on, because he's fucking flamethrowering the forest and the ravines.
Yeah, so, there was a lot of description of the Skinny planet.
Yeah.
Because he talks basically
he's there for a couple of hours. He gets lost.
A lot of it is an after action report. I can't keep going back to that enough. It's so much of it is him summing up the details of what happened while he was in the action, and it's written just like that.
It really is. So my point was that how do they know that in the film? It's very apparent in the film. We get this because Carmen's there. She's the only other main character aside from Johnny in the film, whereas she is 3 sentences total in the entirety of the book. She has just as much screen time in the text as Dizzy does. And Johnny is more tore up about losing Dizzy than he is about Carmen. But there is an asteroid sent from deep in Clendathu space, and those who are listening to the podcast, there were very heavy quotations there. In the film, it's sent from Clendathu space, targeted towards Buenos Aires. First of all, the Roger Young, which is not the ship that Carmen pilots in the text, it's actually a smaller Corvette type ship, and if you are a Star Wars fan, you will know what that means. It is described as a smaller Corvette. It's a small ship. It only houses so many people. It can only drop like 2 teams of Cap Troopers. It's not a very big ship. It's fast and nimble, in fact. The Roger Young in the film dodges it while Carmen and Xander, I think his name is, are flirting. For some inexplicable reason. Like, their flirting was so cringe in that film, it's not even funny. But somehow she doesn't see it until it's right on her, and then they have to, my husband pointed this out, break a thing to do evasive maneuvers. Do you remember that? She like punches something and hits a button so that she can do evasive maneuvers.
I do.
And get out of autopilot. But they say that's sent from Clendathu, targeted towards Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is not really a particularly sound military installation. It has absolutely no purpose other than it has rich people in it. In the book,
Wasn't it?
it was an attack. They came into space, I think it was. It wasn't necessarily an asteroid, but they came into space, attacked and destroyed Buenos Aires, and then got the hell out, attacked Pluto on the way out. Like, they hit a couple of different space stations on the way to and from Earth, attacked Buenos Aires, got the hell out of there. And in the movie, it's an asteroid. I want to know how the fuck the bugs were able to send a goddamn asteroid. Was that just an excuse for us to go to war with the bugs in the film? Because I think it was.
Hold on. I think you're probably right. I think what it was is they were going for a heavily populated and densely populated
Mm-hmm.
area, and they were trying to go for massive casualties to
Right.
create like a reason to go to war type of
Yeah.
situation. And like, hold on, 1 second here.
Mm-hmm.
You're fucking telling me. I'm sorry. You might have to bleep some stuff.
That's fine. We've
in
been
this
cursing
episode.
through this entire episode. It's fine.
I know. I realized it about halfway through, and I was like, man, we made so much extra work.
I appreciate that.
But so like, here's the thing. Like, I won't get into the technical details of it, but we have on our ships, on our naval ships, the
Mm-hmm.
big metal ones that go in the water
Yeah.
that the U.S. has, not the ones that fly through space,
Mm-hmm.
the little ones that go on the water. Radar that can detect things from like so far out.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the bugs snuck a rock at Mach
That's
fuck
what I'm
you.
saying. And then like let's put some physics on that. How did they know from across the galaxy?
How many times in the last 10 years have like we gotten something? Oh, there's an asteroid that's kind of coming towards Earth, and it might be here in the next 20 light years. And it's like I'll be dead. I don't care.
Right.
Like,
that rock had to have been going so fast, so incredibly fast. It would have hit and destroyed the entire fucking planet.
yeah, and also like, hold on, what's the distance? Like, some Starship Troopers nerd has probably done this, but
Probably.
Dathu.
The map, the galaxy map that they show during the report of Buenos Aires being destroyed, Clandathu is on one side of the galaxy, and there is a point where it says, "You are here." It is the opposite side of the fucking galaxy.
Okay, so based on the galactic placement, the distance is approximately 66,000 light years
Right.
or more. The Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years in diameter.
So
You want to talk about a Hail Mary of a shot?
right.
They were like these brain dead bugs. Sorry, the brain bugs probably were the ones who thought about it. We're like, hey, you know what? If we throw this rock, like, how long have you guys been at war? First of all,
right. Like they would have had to thrown that rock, okay, well before the human race was a glimmer
Existed.
in the astral cosmic plan, okay? Like we weren't even a thought yet. That rock had to have been hurled for so that makes me just based on physics, okay? One, that rock had to have been going really fucking fast, or they had to have known about us thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago.
So like, here's my question: would it have? Here's my logic, my brain trying to make sense of it. Right? The bugs are a incredibly advanced species, and they have been for a prolonged amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, we'll call it 66,000 years ago, they discovered the Goldilocks zone,
Right?
and they were like, "We're throwing rocks at all of them,"
Yep. All
and
of
then
them.
they started invading all of them.
Which,
Like that's
okay,
the only logical thing that it could have been.
here's the other thing. Like, okay, in the text, the bugs have spaceships. They have guns. Okay, in the film, and this is a quote from the film, Miss Blanche Dubois from believe it or not, she is in this movie. Blanche Dubois, the lady who plays Blanche Dubois from the Golden Girls, is in Starship Troopers. She plays the blind science teacher during the dissection scene. She says they have no ego, do not fear death, And now they can hurl their spore into space, meaning they don't have technology, they don't have forward, planning, thinking strategies like that. Like, they are a primitive species compared to us. We like to think we are the dominant species, is what she says. So, if you think about it, like, if they don't have these capabilities, unless it's a brain bug, which obviously they have, the brain bug has some kind of either telepathy, or it's all pheromone. If we're thinking about bugs, they have pheromone control. In the book, there are queens and there are brains, and the brains are actually very, very small. So small that Zim, in the end, who... Okay, wait a minute. Let's touch on that. How did Johnny have Zim in his fucking group for the longest time during his officer training and not recognize Zim?
Yes.
That was in the text.
Huh? Almost done.
And he uses the brain as a shield to stop the other bugs from attacking him. So, like, there are things that don't make sense in the film. There are things that don't make sense in the book, and I really want them to make sense. Like, the whole asteroid, that has kept me up, believe it or not.
I didn't think about it until now.
Like, it doesn't make sense. We had to have used that as an excuse.
Well, that answers my freebie question.
Okay, well then, since we have beaten question number 3 to death, was the book better?
No.
No, I don't think so either.
No, not at all.
I did like the end, but go back and listen to the INA episode, and you'll hear my opinion on the episode. Okay, so what is your freebie question?
My freebie question was, what pissed you off the most?
Okay, so... I explained this.
I feel like it's the asteroid right now.
It is that has always been a pissed off portion of the story of the film, in particular, to me, because it's just like we are a species that will look for blame anywhere. It's always the means justify the ends, or the ends justify the means. Okay, we are a conquering species to our own detriment. And that's just from a historian's point of view. We are conquerors. We will destroy anything if we feel like it's going to benefit us, even if it actually doesn't. The fact that we blamed this asteroid on a species across the universe just did not make sense to me. It, like, the heat that rock would have sustained hurling through space would have, 1, diminished it, and 2, burned up anything, including that fucking that ship would not have been able to get out of the way. If it did come from Clendath through space, and the bugs did hurl it, it had to been going so incredibly fast that the Roger Young would no longer exist. Carmen would not have been able to get out of the way.
That's true, but not because of the fact that there's heat coming off of it.
No. I'm just saying, speed-wise.
Because hurling through space, like the speed would have no relevance. It's not like there'd be a draft that was coming off of it or anything like that, because it's a vacuum. There'd be no heat being generated because it's a vacuum. The instant that it hit an atmosphere, it would vaporize whatever that was. So there would be a trail of probably burnt out planets all the way leading back to Clendath,
which would have also slowed it down.
But the thing is that, like, for how big that asteroid was, it had a gravitational force.
It did. There's a gravitational force out there. She said that. We saw it on the screen. It still would have been going too fast for her to notice it with her eye. It would not have just... And when you see it through the windscreen of the ship, it's just like kind of sitting there slowly spinning. The physics part of it irritates me so fucking much. And the other part of it that irritates me, on the other side, not on the film side, but on the book side, is the fact that the Echo dogs are, obviously, there's some psychic ability there. the only psychic abilities we hear about. Psychics are such a thing in the film, and I think they made it such a thing because of Carl, but that's another
Also,
thing.
the dog handlers were barely anything in the film.
There were no dog handlers.
There were dogs in the film, weren't there?
I don't think so. We might have seen them at the training base,
I
but
think
they would
there-
not
I think
have
there was
been
like
at
a-
that training base.
I think there was like a brief like thing where they like send dogs into one of the holes to flush out bugs or something like that. I vaguely remember something like that.
I don't remember.
But it could be my brain conflating the two.
But the whole psychic thing comes in right at the end. Just some like special guests on Planet P. He stands there for a couple of minutes. He's able to draw out the entire bug city that they're standing on top of.
Yeah.
Why aren't you talking more about that?
Yeah.
You know, there were some really cool aspects in the text that would have made this really a sci-fi book. And it would have been more enjoyable. Not that I didn't enjoy it. I just enjoyed it in a different way. It was not a sci-fi read to me.
No, it was a military fiction.
It was. Okay, so my freebie question to you is, what did you think about Ace and Dizzy? Between the book and the film, Dizzy's dead in the first chapter.
Yeah. But again, it's been so long. Like I'm starting to remember names and piece that together.
Ace is the Busey. It's the tall Busey.
But in the book, I don't really give him much thought.
He's there, and he is the one that pushes Johnny to join the officer training.
Yeah, that's it.
But he's like an old grizzled. He's been in the Corps for like 10 years now. He doesn't want to get above an E4.
I think I'm thinking about it now, and it's like, man, I just listened to the book, and it's like, I vaguely remember them being in the book. Like, they were such small parts, but they were such now that I'm remembering, they were such massive parts.
They were
in the movie story.
They were. So, what your feelings towards them? Were they? Obviously, we can definitely say they were better in the film than they were in the book. But in the film itself, where would you put them? Are they? They were massive in the book, but were they really massive in the film, but were they really that important to the story of the film?
I think for the development of the Johnny Rico they were trying to develop, yes. Because what they did was they humanized Rico in the movie. Whereas in the book,
he's an automaton.
Yeah, and honestly, the whole book is just the story of Johnny Rico. It is it is literally the story of Johnny Rico told by Johnny Rico in his after action summary. It's written by Johnny Rico. It is written with no feeling, no emotion, no mental capacity, just a little bit of occasional and then I was worried about something. Oh, I still shake when I jump every time I'm in a cab.
Yeah. That was probably the most relatable thing about him was the jitters that he got every time he deployed.
Whereas in the book he was just he was shit hot and ready to rock. Or not the book, sorry, the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that was Starship Troopers. 1997 film versus the 1959 novel by Robert Heinlein. Would you recommend this book to anybody?
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who enjoys the Starship Troopers movie.
Okay.
I would recommend it to. It is a good piece of propaganda.
It's a different kind of propaganda than the film is. The film is definitely satirical.
One is trying to be real propaganda. The other one is very much it's taking the piss.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you guys for joining us so much. We do have another The Book Was Better coming up, and Nigel, why don't you tell us what book we're going to read and what movie we're going to watch?
Did we were we going
Yeah.
with we were going with
Yep.
the second option, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we were gonna go with, I believe, Dune.
Frank Herbert's classic, Dune. And there are 3 versions of this movie, so I'm okay, I'm gonna let you pick. You get to have your choice of which film you want to watch, and then I'll pick one
Oh,
of the other ones.
oh no, 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 no.
No.
We're gonna do this. Dune is gonna be a longer episode, I think, because we
Oh
got
yes.
3 movies we got to talk
I'm
about.
I'm kind of thinking that The Book Was Better is just going to be a longer episode, period, because there is
We
so much to talk about between
we
things.
and with Dune, like, I can't just pick one of the movies to talk, because like they all have like their strong points, their weak points, their highlights, their low lights.
Mhm.
Like most of the '80s one with Sting and the Codpiece. I love this. I love the sets. I love some of the characters. I love it. It's a visually great movie. It's close-ish to the story. Not like the Sci-Fi movie, which is like kind of
That one,
janky
oh,
feeling.
yeah.
It feels janky, but it follows the story really
It feels
well.
it so much better.
And then the new one, they were like, look at how cool this is. And we are going to make so many action figures. And then they were like, oh, and also there's a story somewhere in here.
So we're gonna read Frank Herbert's Dune. This is a multi-volume series. We are just gonna read the first one because that's enough, okay? I do have to purchase it. I should look and see if it's available on KU. If you have the Libby app, it's most likely on the Libby app because Libby is for libraries and it's fantastic. I know you can probably find a really cool copy of
I have
it
the audiobook.
on thriftbooks.com. Thriftbooks, contact us. We would love to sponsor you. Get a sponsorship from thriftbooks.com. Mm-hmm.
I also have the audiobook, so because I've listened to the book like 5 times, so.
I never, like, some of these thicker ones, I don't ever have to read more than once. Like, I remember a lot of Dune, but, okay, so.
Remember, I used to commute a lot.
You did. Okay, so it looks like it's available for purchase on the Kindle store. It is not available through Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, oh my gosh. 101,020 reviews on Kindle. It looks like it's sitting at 4.5 stars. That is one of the most reviewed books I have ever seen. All right, so thank you guys so much. We will post the Dune episode. It's probably going to be a longer episode soon. Don't know when that is yet because we haven't quite figured out what our schedule is going to be for The Book Was Better. But Nigel, thank you so much. Let's go right into the post show.
I think I'm gonna have to cut on the post show.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
We can do that. I'll cut it. It's
Because
all good.
the kid wants to hang out with me.
Yep, no problem. Thank you so much for joining me, though.
Yeah, awesome. I'm sorry. But no, I had a great time with this. But I would love to sit and do a post show. But again,
Nope,
I've got
totally
two
understand.
2 hours before bedtime. So
Totally understand. You have a good night. Thank you so much.